This page is the cover of Nintendo Power magazine, featuring the Nintendo 64 logo and the title, E3 Report, Showstoppers. The main image showcases the game, World Driver Championship, with the tagline, Leader of the Packs. Preview picks include Mario Golf, Hybrid Heaven, and Shadow Man. There's also a section on Undepth Strategies, covering Command & Conquer, the new Tetris, Rugrats, Scavenger Hunt, and Quake 2. At the bottom, it mentions The Final Circuit Star Wars, Episode 1, Racer and Game Boy Color games, Pokemon Pinball, and Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest. The next page is a Nintendo Power advert for Pokemon. It features various Pokemon and their evolutions, emphasizing, true evolution begins at the source. The ad highlights Nintendo Power as the ultimate source for tips, tricks, strategies, and secret codes for mastering Pokemon. Games mentioned include Pokemon Snap. The ad encourages readers to subscribe to Nintendo Power for insider information, offering a choice of a Pokemon Player's Guide, a Pokemon Snap Player's Guide, or a Pokemon t-shirt with a subscription. Finally, it provides a toll-free number to order a subscription. This page is an advert for the game Army Men, Sarge's Heroes. It features a humorous image of toy soldiers in an ice cube tray, surrounded by frozen food. The tagline is, Always freeze your leftovers, attributed to Sarge. Logos for PlayStation and Nintendo 64 are present. The advertisement also includes screenshots from the game, and the game's title and tagline, Real Combat, Plastic Men. The next page is an ad for Monaco Grand Prix. It shows a race car in the rain with the tagline, Hard to believe what a little rain can do to a nice car. The ad includes screenshots of the game and mentions that it features 22 expert racers competing on 16 international tracks. It is available on PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and Windows 95. The next page is the contents page for Volume 122, July 1999, of Nintendo Power. The cover features World Driver Championship for the N64, with a yellow race car, along with a racing trophy. It promises tips for the game, as well as features on Hybrid Heaven, Revolution at E3, and Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, and Command & Conquer. The contents list is broken down into strategy sections for games, including World Driver, Championship, Quake 2, Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, Command & Conquer, the new Tetris, Rugrats, Scavenger Hunt, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, Pokemon Pinball, and Duke Nukem. Special features are also listed for Hybrid Heaven and Inside E3, the future of Nintendo. There are also regular sections such as Mario Golf, Shadow Man, Player's Pulse, Classified Information, Arena, Player's Poll Contest, Counselor's Corner, PokeCenter, Now Playing, and Pack Watch. This page is Player's Pulse, a section featuring reader mail and artwork. It starts with reader suggestions for movie-to-game adaptations. Readers suggest Indiana Jones, Tron, and The Mummy as potential N64 games. One discusses the accuracy of Star Wars games. There are several reader-submitted drawings, including art of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Super Smash Bros., and Metroid. Readers also share their thoughts on topics like a Nintendo theme park, the character Jigglypuff's name, radio interference with N64, and the accuracy of the maximum tomato item in Super Smash Bros. The page includes the staff list of Nintendo Power and addresses for reader submissions. The next page features power charts for the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy. The N64 top 3 are The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye 007, and Mario Party. Super Smash Bros. Makes a debut at number 4. The Game Boy top 3 include Pokemon, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, and James Bond 007. The most wanted games include Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Snap, and Pokemon Yellow. There's also reader mail, including complaints about post-Zelda withdrawal syndrome. John Allen is shown winning a Volkswagen New Beetle. The right of the page lists a phone directory for Nintendo Power, including numbers for subscriptions, system setup, and a Talk to a Game Counselor line. This page focuses on the game World Driver Championship for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's features, including championship racing, two-player versus mode, and quick race options. The article emphasizes the intuitive controls, diverse car handling, and the depth of the gameplay experience. It also provides information about GT2 championship lineups, teams, and vehicles, offering a selection of teams like Core Racing, Speedcraft, and Viewpoint. Each team has unique car models with varying strengths in speed, acceleration, handling, and weight. The writer is promoting the game, stating the graphics are near photorealistic. The next page provides a get-on-track guide for World Driver Championship, detailing track layouts and driving tips for Rome, Kyoto, Hawaii, and New Zealand. Each section describes the track, notes the best cups, and offers advice on how to navigate specific corners and challenges, using screenshots and numbered maps to illustrate key points. For example, the Rome track guide suggests slowing down for the Colosseum corner and sticking to the inner lane in the tunnel. This page offers a get-on-track guide for World Driver Championship, detailing track layouts and driving tips for Las Vegas, Black Forest, Lisbon, and Zurich. Each section describes the track and driving advice on how to navigate specific corners and challenges, using screenshots and numbered maps to illustrate key points. For example, the Las Vegas track guide suggests gentle touches with powerslide for its loop. This page dives into more World Driver tracks, focusing on Les Gets in the French Alps and Sydney. The Les Gets section highlights the challenges of snow and ice on the roads, giving driving tips for specific parts of the track, shown with maps and screenshots. The Sydney portion teases a sneak peek at the track accessible by qualifying in the GT1 circuit. The page also includes a larger advertisement for Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers, featuring its cover art and screenshots from the game. This page focuses on Konami's futuristic RPG, Hybrid Heaven. The game centers around genetic hybrids plotting to enslave humanity. The article details the game's plot, involving Secret Service agent Johnny Slater and a conspiracy to replace the president with a clone. Screenshots display the game's environments and characters. The narrative reveals the hybrid's plan to harvest the president's memories. The article hints at Johnny Slater's destiny and the secrets held by an alien race. This page delves deeper into Hybrid Heaven, focusing on the environments you'll explore, from the gargantuan spaceship's hull to cloning facilities and alien complexes. Combat is a key aspect, with turn-based fights against various creatures, including mutants, robots, and aliens. The game emphasizes strategic attacks and defense, where you build up power for stronger moves and learn to counter enemy attacks. The article also mentions improving your character's physique through combat. The next page of the magazine features Hybrid Heaven, talking about the technical architecture of the game, highlighting its cinematic presentation and the implementation of the Rumble Pack. It describes the character of Mr. Diaz and the game's story, also mentioning the game is on course for a teen rating. A section, Work Your Body, explains how you can assimilate your enemy's moves into your attack menu, and how your body is constantly upgrading, and how to use your character. The next page is an advertisement for LEGO Racers on the Nintendo 64. The ad highlights building your own car and driver, choosing a play theme, and racing on dangerous tracks. It features LEGO versions of racers, and ends with the slogan, Go Faster. This page is an advertisement for Quake 2 on the Nintendo 64. It highlights features of the game like sharper graphics with the expansion pack, weapons, items, and the 4-player glory. The ad details the importance of armor and other spoils of war, plus classic weapons like shotguns, machine guns, launchers, the railgun, and energy weapons. The next page provides a guide to finding secrets in the Quake 2 Nintendo 64 game. It covers the Strogg Outpost, Central Complex, Intelligence Center, and Communications Center levels. For each level, it details how to find 3 secrets with descriptions and screenshots. The secrets include locations like the Aquamarine area, an elevator, a hidden cache of grenades, and other power-ups. There are also tactical tips for combat. This page features a strategy guide for finding secrets in the Quake 2 game on the Nintendo 64. It covers locations like the Orbital Defense Station and the Strogg's Docking Station. Secret locations mentioned include areas above the stairs, under an elevator, and within ceiling cracks. The page also includes an advertisement for Disney's Tarzan on the Game Boy. It shows Tarzan swinging through the jungle and promotes the ability to play as young Tarzan, adult Tarzan, Jane, and Turk, while saving Tarzan's ape family. The next page, titled Powers Virtual E3, recaps Nintendo's presence at the Electronic Entertainment Expo in 1999. It highlights the unveiling of the Dolphin, later the GameCube, focusing on its technical specifications such as the IBM 400 MHz CPU and ArtX graphics processor. The page features images from the show floor, including a Pikachu mascot and a replica of Anakin Skywalker's pod racer. Also covered are the Interactive Achievement Awards, where Zelda Ocarina of Time dominated, winning multiple awards. Shigeru Miyamoto is prominently featured, accepting awards and discussing the potential of the new hardware. Games like Perfect Dark and Donkey Kong 64 are also showcased, alongside giant fuzzy mascots. This page, Games, and More Games, is a recap of some of the hit games that were played or viewed at E3. It highlights games for the Nintendo 64 such as Perfect Dark, DK64, 40 Winks, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Monster Truck Madness, and Pokemon Stadium. There's a section dedicated to Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, complete with images of the game, the booth, and even Jake Lloyd playing the game. Also included are images of Armorines, Space Invaders, and Kobe Bryant in NBA courtside. The page also lists upcoming Game Boy Color games such as Asteroids, Babe and Friends, Bionic Commando, Conker's Pocket Tales, Crystalis, Earthworm Jim, Menace to the Galaxy, Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, Kobe Bryant in NBA courtside, Pokemon Pinball, Pokemon Yellow, Puzzle Master, Rainbow Six, Resident Evil, Rugrats, Time Machine, Street Fighter Alpha, Survival Kids, and Tarzan. The next page delves into a collection of never-before-revealed games. It features the games Sprocketed by Sucker Punch Productions, Shadowgate Rising by Infinite Ventures, Battlezone 64, and Lufia Ruins Chaser set to release for Game Boy Color. The page also discusses Acclaim's announcement of Turok, Rage Wars, South Park Rally, Chef's Louvre Shack, and THQ's plans for a new MTV Extreme Sports series, and a rodeo game, as well as the Game Boy Color versions of Army Men, Vegas Games, Battle Tanks, and Heroes of Might and Magic. It also has cheat codes for NBA Jam 99, like Big Ball, Full Court Dunks, Giant Players, One Shot Perfect and Tiny Players, and Body Harvest cheat codes like Easier Bosses, Mutate All Present Harvesters, and All Weapons. The page concludes with a statement declaring this year as the golden age of 64 games, due to the quantity of games scheduled for release and sales for the handheld system growing over 250%. This page is a collection of cheat codes and tips for various games. For Fly One World Grand Prix, it discusses using the gold or silver drivers and setting the transmission to manual for maximum speed. For WCW/NWO Revenge, it explains how to control a wrestler's manager during a match. California Speed has a Fun with Fog section, detailing how to tweak the fog color in the game. Bust a Move 99 reveals a code to unlock Another World in arcade mode. NASCAR 99 has hidden drivers like Alan Kulwicki and Richard Petty, accessible through specific codes. Finally, Fox Sports College Hoops 99 has a monkey mode that can be activated via the secret codes screen. Wipeout 64 lists codes for unlimited energy, ammo, time, cyclone weapons upgrade, unlock the Velocidar track, and unlock all ships. The next page features cheat codes and bonus unlockables for Super Smash Bros. It details how to pick up a life from a teammate in-game, as well as listing a variety of bonus point scenarios and their requirements. These include achieving specific feats, such as defeating certain characters in a certain order, clearing levels under specific conditions, or using specific items. The page also features tips and tricks for Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. It provides a recommended path for the Galactic Podracing Circuit, along with descriptions and screenshots of key sections of the track. The guide also explains how to unlock Toy Dampener, a Turca 910 Special Pod Racer, by securing a first-place victory on the Executioner track. This page provides tips for Star Wars Episode I Racer. It details the layouts and strategies for 3 tracks, Sebulba's Legacy, Grabvine Gateway, and Endobi Mountain Run. Screenshots highlight key turns and hazards, and the guide offers advice on navigating each course, including optimal routes, braking points, and shortcut opportunities. The Mophonic character unlock is also detailed. In Deathro's Revenge, racers must navigate treacherous scrap heaps. This page offers strategy tips for 2 more Star Wars Episode 1 Racer tracks, Fire Mountain Rally and Bunta Classic, including maps with numbered checkpoints and gameplay screenshots, offering course strategies, optimal racing lines, and hazard avoidance. The page also details unlocking Sebulba, including how to unlock the character with a first-place win. The page also includes an overview of Sebulba's special weapon, the Flame Jet, which is used to ignite opponents' engines. The next page is for Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64, touting it as accessible to all gamers, not just golf fans. It highlights the cast of 17 characters, including Mario, Yoshi, and Donkey Kong. It showcases the game's features, such as Come Rain or Shine, the ability to play through different weather conditions, and also the Addressing the Ball features, detailing the club selection and wind indicators. Screenshots show in-game graphics and the power meter. The page also includes information on different swing types and how to navigate bunkers. This page continues the focus on Mario Golf for the Nintendo 64. It presents various game modes, including Tournament, Ring Golf, Speed Golf, and Versus mode, detailing how each mode offers unique gameplay experiences. Tournament mode is about solo play to earn coins and a trophy. Ring Golf involves hitting the ball through hoops. Speed Golf is about finishing the course quickly. And Versus mode lets you play against characters like Plum, Peach, and Baby Mario, with the possibility of unlocking hidden characters. The page also describes Putter Golf, a miniature golf mode with quirky courses, and Club Slot, a multiplayer mode where players can win specialized clubs by playing a slot machine. Finally, it promotes the game's personality and unpredictability, mixing golf sim aspects with arcade immediacy. The closing summary, My Way or the Fairway, offers a final opinion on the game, including some later added characters such as Princess Peach. This page is a preview of Command & Conquer for the Nintendo 64. The article summarizes the game's premise of the conflict between the Global Defense Initiative, GDI, and the Brotherhood of Nod, giving a beginner's guide to the real-time strategy game. It details common units like the Bazooka and Commando, and specialized GDI units like Grenade Infantry, Humvee, Medium Tank, Mammoth Tank, Orca, APC. Node units include the Recon Bike, Recon Buggy, Flamethrower, Flame Tank, Light Tank, and Stealth Tank. It also shows the Minigunner and Engineer. The next page dives deeper into Command & Conquer for the Nintendo 64, focusing on operating procedures and infrastructure. The infrastructure section details building your base, including common structures like the refinery, silo, power plant, advanced power plant, comm center, and barricades. It describes their functions and strategic placement. GDI structures like barracks, guard tower, advanced guard tower, weapons factory, helipad, and advanced comm center are shown. Nod structures featured are the Hand of Nod, Airstrip, Turret, SAM Site, Obelisk, and Temple of Nod. Operating procedures covers Tiberium harvesting, defense strategies, unit tactics, and using the terrain to your advantage. There is discussion of the strategic importance of Tiberium, attacking harvesters, defending your base, and the importance of scouting. The use of air power and the effectiveness of napalm are also highlighted. This page continues the Command & Conquer coverage for the Nintendo 64, detailing tactical analysis and Global Defense Initiative missions. The tactical analysis section covers psychological warfare, aiming strategies, friendly fire, and engineering victories. It gives tips on how to trick the AI, target specific units, and utilize engineers. The Global Defense Initiative missions section focuses on two scenarios: Estonian Beach and Parnu, Estonia. It gives step-by-step instructions and strategies for completing each mission, including using specific units, building your base, and defeating enemy forces. It mentions destroying Nod turrets with gunboats, and using Humvees to draw out enemy infantry. Brief GDI and Nod briefings highlight the strengths of each faction, with GDI focused on armor and Nod on swarming tactics. The next page delves deeper into Command & Conquer for the Nintendo 64, providing tactical guidance for Global Defense Initiative missions. It offers detailed strategies and step-by-step instructions for missions set in Helgava, Latvia, Gdansk, Poland, Hanover, Germany, and Ostrava, Czech Republic. The guide highlights the use of specific units like minigunners, grenadiers, and Humvees, and emphasizes base building, resource management, and tactical approaches to overcome enemy forces. Tips are given on how to handle specific enemy units and scenarios to effectively complete each mission. This page continues the Command & Conquer Nintendo 64 guide, switching focus to the Brotherhood of Nod missions. It presents strategies for missions in Nikumba's village, Libya. North, Alamayan, Egypt. East, Kathia Kingi, Sudan, and North, Hajar, Chad. Each mission is broken down with tactical advice, unit suggestions, and map overviews, highlighting key objectives and enemy positions. For example, in Nakumba's village, the guide emphasizes the expendability of NOD units and suggests specific attack formations to overcome GDI forces. It also offers guidance on building bases, managing resources, and utilizing various units like buggies and bazooka units in the other missions. This page features game strategies for the Brotherhood of NOD, missions in Command and Conquer for the Nintendo 64. It provides tips for Mission 5, Tajikja, Mauritania, including setting up SAM sites, eliminating a GDI base, using bikes for quick strikes, and building flamethrower infantry. The page includes a map of the area, with labeled locations like GDI base, Tiberium fields, and village, as well as strategic advice for unit placement and base defense. The second part of the page is an advert for Monster Truck Madness 64, boasting 7 gameplay modes, including circuit racing and indoor soccer, and featuring iconic trucks like Bigfoot and Gravedigger. This page introduces Acclaim's Shadow Man game for the Nintendo 64, emphasizing its mature themes and departure from typical squeaky clean titles. It highlights the game's dark atmosphere, violent storyline, and mature content which earned it an M rating. The game's protagonist, Leroy, can transform into Shadow Man, a voodoo-powered hero who purges evil. The page also details the game's plot, involving a dead-side invasion of live-side, led by the villain Legion. References to horror novelists and film directors like Clive Barker, David Lynch, and David Cronenberg are noted as the design inspiration, as well as the FBI's handbook on serial criminals as research material. Quote, "This page is all about Acclaim's Shadow Man for the Nintendo 64, focusing on its unique elements. The game distinguishes itself from the squeaky clean titles of the time. It features a progression that avoids the typical, nastier weapon sat-the-only reward trend, emphasizing puzzle solving over constant combat. The game's voodoo elements, drawing from real-world practices in the Caribbean and the United States, adds a mysterious and unique vibe. Central to this are inventory items like the asin, calabash, and flambeau, each with unique functions. The player isn't alone, with 2 characters, Mama Nettie and Jaunty, providing assistance. The game boasts impressive tech for the time, with Acclaim using its Vista engine for detailed exteriors and motion capture for character animation. The 256 meg cartridge allows for a substantial amount of voice audio and cutscenes. The opening scene is highlighted, featuring a voice with a British accent referencing Jack the Ripper. Shadow Man's storyline is described as epic, crossing time and continents. The game's development is rooted in Acclaim's comics. The next page is a feature for the new Tetris on Nintendo 64, highlighting new gameplay mechanics that enhance the competitive experience. It mentions spin moves, multiplayer mode, and the wonders of the world as new features. The article goes over features such as What's Next, which shows the next 3 pieces, the spare piece option, quick drop, and a shadow piece for placement guidance. It also mentions earning bonus lines and pulling off spin moves. The guide also explains gold monosquares and silver multisquares. There are screenshots showing gameplay, including the A Hall B exit area, and mentioning additional gameplay features like position the piece and spin move bonus. The page emphasizes the fast-paced, competitive nature of the game. This page focuses on tips and tricks for the new Tetris on the Nintendo 64. It explains the 3 modes, Marathon, Sprint, and Ultra, each offering a different challenge focused on clearing lines quickly. The page provides strategies for each mode, such as keeping the well empty in Marathon, maximizing lines in Sprint, and using monosquares and multisquares in Ultra. The page also gives general Tetris advice, like avoiding jutting corners, using Feng Shui, building flat, not high, and starting on the edge. It also details assembling Tetrises, utilizing interlocking pieces, timing block placements, and keeping the long blue piece handy. The Versus the Tin Man section talks about playing against the computer. There are screenshots of gameplay demonstrating the tips. This page dives into multiplayer Tetris on the Game Boy Color, highlighting the fun of playing with friends and the various modes that add to the competitive experience. The modes mentioned are Garbage, Hot Potato, and Directed, each providing unique challenges and ways to mess with your opponents. There's 2-player versus and 3 to 4-player versus modes described, with strategies for each. There is also an ad for the Tommy Hilfiger Special Edition Game Boy Color, a yellow Game Boy Color, and the text, "Just add color," which is a limited time offer. It also mentions that yours for $57.50 with a $50 minimum purchase of Tommy Hilfiger clothing. The next page is an overview of Rugrats Scavenger Hunt for the Nintendo 64. It describes the game as a goofy, 3D board game adaptation of the popular Nickelodeon cartoon. The page highlights the game's multiplayer aspect and easy-to-use controls, mentioning characters like Tommy, Chucky, and Angelica. It also details the different playable Rugrats, Tommy, Chucky, Phil, and Lil, and some of the boards featured in the game, Angelica's Temple of Gloom, Pirate Treasure Hunt, and Reptar Rally. Each of these boards has different requirements for how many computer-controlled characters are needed. Other Rugrats characters like Grandpa, Spike, and Susie appear in the game to help or hinder players on their quest. The page ends with a look at the character select screen for multiplayer mode. This page is a guide to playing Rugrats Scavenger Hunt on the Nintendo 64. It describes the two main boards in the game, Angelica's Temple of Gloom and the Pirate Treasure Hunt, explaining the objectives, characters, and specific board squares, and the actions that are possible on them. Angelica's Temple of Gloom requires players to help Stu Pickles reassemble a broken Aztec statue while avoiding Angelica, who tries to steal cookies and statue pieces. The Pirate Treasure Hunt involves finding treasure on Stu's pirate ship, aided by Susie. The page also details the different types of board squares, like crib squares, gain cookie squares, and lose cookie squares, as well as character interactions with Spike, Dial, and how to win the toy contest. The next page details the rules and components of Reptar Rally, a Rugrats-themed board game for Game Boy Color. It explains the goal of collecting sweets in the Mesozoic age, the different types of Reptar squares like Baby Bonus, Key, Chance Move, Whammy, and Lever/Catapult. The page also describes the Mesozoic zones, including the Ice Cream Age, the Land of Licorice, Cocoazoic, and Chocolithic, and the Reptar King. Finally, there are 4 Game Boy Color game advertisements: Looney Tunes Carrot Crazy, Looney Tunes 2 Hubble, The Smurfs Nightmare, and Vrally Edition 99. The next page, titled Arena, presents a series of gaming challenges. It features challenges for All-Star Baseball 2000, Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, and Beetle Adventure Racing for players to submit their scores. There's a Name the Game challenge with a blurred image from The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. A quiz section tests readers' knowledge of game quotes. There is also a scoreboard of best scores for games like The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, Banjo-Kazooie, Game Boy Camera, and Zero. This page showcases Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest for the Game Boy Color. The game boasts updated statistics and realistic action, moving away from black and white graphics to vivid colors. It features exhibition play with all 30 MLB teams, a designated hitter option, and action animations. Screenshots highlight the gameplay, including fielding and batting, team rosters and player stats for teams like the Anaheim Angels, Baltimore Orioles, Boston Red Sox, Cleveland Indians, Kansas City Royals, Detroit Tigers, and Chicago White Sox are listed alongside gameplay features like Autofield. The page emphasizes the game's fast-paced action and unpredictable options, touting it as a definitive baseball experience on the Game Boy Color. The next page focuses on Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest for Game Boy Color. It highlights various game modes such as full season play, trading, and a manage mode. The All-Star Ambition and Derby drives are featured along with the option to skip straight to the World Series. Rosters and stats for teams like the Minnesota Twins, New York Yankees, Oakland Athletics, Seattle Mariners, Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Texas Rangers, Toronto Blue Jays, Arizona Diamondbacks, Atlanta Braves, Houston Astros, Florida Marlins, Colorado Rockies, Cincinnati Reds, and Chicago Cubs are also displayed. This page features Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, mentioning player stats and team lineups for various teams from the NL East, NL Central, NL West, and more, including the Montreal Expos, Milwaukee Brewers, Los Angeles Dodgers, New York Mets, Philadelphia Phillies, Pittsburgh Pirates, San Diego Padres, San Francisco Giants, and St. Louis Cardinals, along with a section on making baseball history with stats from the all-time greats. It also includes a review of the game Spy vs. Spy for the Game Boy Color, search for top secret items, but watch out for booby traps, and the Mad Magazine certification logo. This page delves into the world of Pokémon Pinball for the Game Boy Color. It highlights the game's objective of filling your Pokédex and racking up points, emphasizing the collect Pokémon aspect and the challenge of catching all the Pokémon. It showcases screenshots of the red and blue tables, Catch 'em mode, Pursuit and Capture, and evolving Pokémon. The page explains game mechanics like moving through different areas, catching Pokémon using ramps, and the evolution process. It also details the Pokédex feature, which saves information about captured or evolved Pokémon, providing access to their pictures, statistics, and cries. This page continues the walkthrough for Pokémon Pinball on Game Boy Color, diving into specifics for the red and blue tables. It explains the move along mechanic, requiring skillful ball control to collect elusive Pokémon by hitting Diglett on the red table or Poliwag and Psyduck on the blue table 3 times, and then using the highlighted ramp to access the bonus cave for 30 seconds. The red table section details how to maneuver around a stubborn Ditto to reach the evolution cave and accomplish map moves, which are achieved by convincing a Dugtrio to stick its heads above ground. Specific elements of the red table are covered, including the evolution cave, spinner, field multiplier, Bellsprout, Diglett and Dugtrio, and more. The blue table section describes the faster-paced gameplay and mentions the dash arrow in the center, along with areas like Slowpoke, Poliwag and Psyduck, Cloyster, and the bonus cave. Also, the page contains info about Pikachu kickbacks and tilting of the game to save it. The next page features Pokémon Pinball for the Game Boy Color. It offers tips on achieving higher scores by playing the slots, accessing them by illuminating lights to spell cave, and utilizing various bonuses. The page details small and large bonus rewards, shortcuts to modes, ball savers, and upgrades. It also covers the field multiplier and how to upgrade your Pokeball from the default to Great, Ultra, and Master Balls, each increasing point accumulation. The article outlines bonus games on red and blue tables, each featuring different Pokemon like Diglett, Gengar, Meowth, and Seel, each offering unique challenges to unlock bonuses. This page advertises World Driver Championship, a racing game for the Nintendo 64. The contest offers a grand prize of $2,500 and other prizes, and encourages readers to find the entry form inside the game. This page is an advertisement and contest page from Nintendo Power, titled, Win Nintendo's E3 Lineup. Readers are invited to vote in a poll to win prizes, including all the games shown in Nintendo's E3 booth for that year. Second prize is picking 5 games from Nintendo's E3 lists, and third prize is Nintendo Power t-shirts. The N64 lineup included in the contest includes games like Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Beetle Adventure Racing, Command and Conquer, Donkey Kong 64, Duke Nukem, Zero Hour, and Eternal Darkness. Other games listed are Excitebike 64, F1 World Grand Prix 2, Gauntlet Legends, Hybrid Heaven, Jet Force Gemini, Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest, and Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside 2, with other titles like Mario Golf, Monster Truck Madness, Mini Racers, Perfect Dark, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Stadium, Rayman 2, The Great Escape, Resident Evil 2, and more. The Game Boy E3 lineup includes games like Bionic Commando, Conker's Pocket Tales, Crystalis, Ken Griffey Jr. Slugfest, Looney Tunes, NBA 3-on-3 Challenge featuring Kobe Bryant, Pokemon Pinball, Pokemon Yellow, War Type, Resident Evil 2, Rugrats, Spy vs. Spy, Super Mario Bros., Deluxe, Rally, and WWF Attitude. This page provides tips and tricks for several Nintendo 64 games. For Castlevania, it details how to avoid dogs in the garden maze and navigate the Tower of Science. In Super Smash Bros., the page illustrates how to board all platforms using Samus and strategies for defeating Metal Mario. It also gives advice on completing Link's bonus practice in an unspecified game. Screenshots accompany each tip. The next page features tips and tricks for Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo games. For Vigilante 8 on the N64, it explains how to trigger the bomber in the aircraft graveyard level, how to total an enemy car by using special attacks, and how to launch missiles from the secret base. The Zelda, A Link to the Past segment, provides a strategy for defeating Agahnim, focusing on dodging his attacks and returning fireballs. It also describes how to find the mysterious pond, requiring the Super Bomb and the Tempered Sword. Lastly, there is a Q&A section with quick tips for Banjo-Kazooie, Turok 2, and Pocket Bomberman. This page showcases Duke Nukem for the Game Boy Color. It highlights the premise of the game, where Duke must save the human species from aliens. The page also gives Nukem recycling tips, describing various weapons and power-ups available in the game, such as the shotgun, machine gun, flamethrower, stun gun, grenade launcher, health pack, crystal, rocket launcher, double damage, and armor vest. The article talks about the game's plot, where Duke is abducted from a TV interview and must fight to save the world. There are screenshots from the game featured with Duke interacting with various other characters. The article touches on finding access cards and collecting letters to gain extra lives. The next page covers level guides for Duke Nukem on Game Boy Color, offering strategies for levels 14, focusing on weapon acquisition and enemy engagement. Level 5, Big Slime, directs players to use the grenade launcher against a cyborg. Level 610, Military Mayhem, encourages exploration for power-ups. Level 11, Tank Rush, guides players through tank combat. While levels 12-15, Deep Space Mind, give tips for spaceship combat. Level 16, Eyesore, describes how to defeat the commander. And level 17-20, Crash and Burn, features surviving wreckage. Finally, level 21, Final Feud, describes the anti-Duke vehicle finale. This page features a PokeCenter segment focusing on all things Pokemon. It includes an interview with Mr. Tsunekazu Ishihara, the president of Creatures, Inc., discussing future plans for the Pokemon universe. He mentions more Pokemon battles, Ash's progress, and the upcoming Pokemon Snap and Pokemon Stadium games. Ishihara's favorite Pokemon is Exeggutor, and he encourages players to enjoy new Pokemon content. The PokeChat section answers fan questions about Pokemon Red and Blue, including how many Pokemon fit in Bill's PC and what to do after beating the Elite Four. It also addresses rumors of Pokegods and clarifies how to slow the Zero Wand vehicle in Pokemon Snap. The page also mentions finding Tauros in the Safari Zone and checking Pokemon.com for summer Game Boy training tour dates. Finally, there is a Pokemon gallery showcasing fan art of various Pokemon, including Growlithe, legendary birds, and Pikachu. This page is a Pokemon Snap scrapbook from Nintendo Power, displaying various in-game screenshots from Pokemon Snap. The article highlights the fun and humorous moments players can capture. Some of the Pokemon featured include Dragonair, Graveler, Electrode, Voltorb, Coughing, Charizard, Pidgeot, Weezing, Charmander, Magmar, Sandshrew, Dugtrio, Bulbasaur, Bellsprout, Staryu, Starmie, Porygon, Pikachu, and Shellder. The descriptions of each image adds to the humor, and the page playfully comments on the ethical code of Pokemon, referencing the Charizard image of breathing fire at Charmander. It mentions Pokemon Snap launching in the US, highlighting the fun players have capturing these moments. The next page features game reviews for the Nintendo 64. The new Tetris is reviewed, praising its graphics, gameplay, and sound, with a rating of 8.1 overall. World Driver Championship is also reviewed, with a rating of 8.7, highlighting the great graphics and gameplay. Finally, Command & Conquer is reviewed, scoring 8.0, and it highlights the 3D graphics and strategy gameplay. This page features two game reviews for the Nintendo 64. The first review is for Quake 2, highlighting its enhanced graphics with the expansion pack and the fast-paced gameplay. The reviewer notes the violence and recommends the game for shooter fans, giving it an overall rating of 7.7. The second review is for Starshot Space Circus Fever, praising the colorful characters. The review mentions disorienting camera movements and loose play control, with an overall rating of 6.5. The page also includes an advertisement for In Fisherman Bass Hunter 64, promising a realistic fishing experience. This page reviews Rugrats, Scavenger Hunt, and Superman for the Nintendo 64. The Rugrats review mentions it's good for young fans of the show with simple controls, but the searching function is poor. It received an overall rating of 5.3. Superman is also reviewed, noting the retro Metropolis look and special effects, but also criticizes the fog and control issues. The overall rating is 4.7. In addition to the reviews, there's a Poke Quiz that asks questions about Pokemon video content and promotes the availability of Pokemon VHS and DVDs, including titles like I Choose You, Pikachu, and The Mystery of MT Moon. The next page features reviews for two Game Boy Color games, Pokemon Pinball and Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest. Pokemon Pinball is praised for its graphics, rumble feature, and overall gameplay, receiving an overall rating of 7.4. The review highlights the two boards and the challenge of catching all the Pokemon. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest is commended for its graphics and simple controls, earning a 7.3 overall rating. The review emphasizes the all-star feature and fast-paced gameplay. There is also an advertisement on the page for Revelations, the Demon Slayer, for Game Boy Color, promoting its demon recruiting and fusion mechanics. This page features a review of Duke Nukem for Game Boy Color. The game is praised for its graphics, play control, and the overall experience of bringing Duke to a handheld format. The review highlights the mature flavor and action-packed gameplay, mentioning the side-scrolling shooting and the inclusion of weapons and boss characters. The game received an overall rating of 6.9. The page also includes a section called Behind the Numbers and Names, which lists evaluators and their preferred gaming categories, such as action, adventures, puzzles, RPGs, and fighting. There's a mention of age ratings from the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, ESRB. The right side of the page features an advertisement for Visteon's rear seat entertainment system, showcasing a Nintendo 64 setup in a car. The next page features PackWatch, offering news and previews. Perfect Dark for N64 is highlighted, showcasing the feature that lets players put their own faces into the game using the Game Boy camera and transfer pack. Rayman 2. The Great Escape is also previewed with details on Rayman's mission to save his world. The game promises improved play control and camera, along with water skiing, rock climbing, and helicopter gliding. The graphics are praised, and the release date is slated for September. Mentioned at the bottom of the page is a launch of Donkey Kong 64 in November. Several screenshots from the two games are shown to highlight gameplay. This page includes hands-on previews of upcoming games. Sprocket Wheels into View introduces Sprocket, N64 action game by Sucker Punch Productions, described as a Banjo-Kazooie style game, with the player tasked with building roller coasters. Gex Goes Deep previews Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko for the N64, noting its humor and challenging gameplay with a release in September. Lastly, THQ at the End of the Road previews Road Rash for N64, highlighting its graphics, animation, and intense gameplay. The page also features Build It and They Will Play, which is about Lego Racer for N64, emphasizing building cars and racing, and its release scheduled for the end of August. The next page, titled Pack Peaks, focuses on what's breaking in the gaming world. WWF is moving to THQ with the new WWF wrestling game for N64 in development stage. A Game Boy Color publisher, Metro 3D, releases Puzzle Master with classic arcade conversions, plus Chase HQ, Secret Police, and Bubble Bobble. Activision teams up with Disney Interactive for projects like Tarzan for Game Boy Color. EA Sports becomes part of Live Sports by sponsoring the EA Sports Supercross series. Konami and Microsoft agree to a deal to publish each other's titles. The page lists summer and fall 1999 release forecasts, with titles such as Duke Nukem and Army Men. Future releases are also listed, including Pokemon Stadium. This page is an ad for Nintendo Power Superpower Supplies, promoting repair services for broken systems. It features classic consoles like the NES, Nintendo 64, Super Nintendo, and Game Boy, along with prices for repair. The slogan is, "We fix 'em all," with a call to action to contact them for repair services. There are also Pokemon-themed items available for sale, including a Pokemon Youth t-shirt, hat, and player's guides, with the slogan, "Gotta catch 'em all." There is a phone number for the store as well. The next page features upcoming games for August 1999, including Hybrid Heaven, where players resist an alien invasion, is a subscriber bonus offering a Pokemon Power comic series, and a preview of WWF Attitude, featuring dirty fighting tactics. Also highlighted is Mario Golf with tips for the game. The right side showcases the game World Driver Championship, with a yellow sports car and screenshots of the game. The page also contains a large list of upcoming and released N64 and Game Boy games.